welcome to the inaugural Indiana Healthcare Executive Network podcast. My name is Randy Pritchard. I am a member of the board and chairman of our communications committee, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this initial event. I want to start by thanking our sponsors who are so critical to our success and our ability to keep our membership dues low. Let me start with our premier partner, and that is Ice Miller, our platinum sponsor, HEPI, and our gold sponsors, Cat Sapper and Miller, Cornerstone, Arc Design, and InnovCare. So for our initial podcast today, we thought we would talk about the value of the membership and what it means to be a part of both iHEN and the American College of Healthcare Executives. And for that discussion, I have two very great partners with me who I am on the board with. We have our current chairman and our chairman-elect, and I'm going to hand it over to each of them to introduce themselves. So Rodney.
All right, I'll get started. My name is Rodney Hollis. I am the iHEN chair-elect for our chapter. Excited about that. And in my daytime job, I am a service line administrator for Indiana University Health Physicians Infectious Diseases Service Line.
Great. Thank you. And I'm Chad Dilley. I have the honor of serving as the chair of iHEN. And then in my day job, I'm the chief operating officer for Indiana University Health Saxony Hospital in Fishers, Indiana.
Great. Well, to kick things off, we thought we would start talking about the American College of Healthcare Executives and the benefits that come with that part of your membership. And so with that, I want to hand it over to Chad and Rodney just to kind of talk us through what all is a part of that membership.
Yeah. So ACHE is really the premier professional society for healthcare leaders. About 40,000 plus healthcare leaders globally actually are a part of ACHE and really the premier institution. One of the hallmarks of ACHE is the fellow certification. So it's technically a board certification in healthcare management as being a fellow with the American College of Healthcare Executives. Really focused on career development and networking, and really just a great organization for you to meet people and grow your career. As being an ACHE member, you're also a member of iHEN as well too. Rodney, anything you want to add about just ACHE overall?
Absolutely. When I think of ACHE, I really think of like the educational content and the networking that they offer. And one of the biggest events that ACHE has that provides both the education and the networking is their ACHE Congress that happens annually in Chicago back in the day when we were doing things in person. This past year, it was virtually, and it was received very well by the people that I've talked to that have attended. And I've definitely attended the ACHE Congress in person several times over the last 10 years or so. But yes, you get 12 credits for ACHE by attending that Congress. And what that means is that as a member of ACHE, you are encouraged to continue doing continuing education. And when you do different events, you get credits for each of those events. And for this ACHE Congress, you get 12 credits for that. That's like the biggest event annually for ACHE. And if you become a member of ACHE, I highly encourage that you do that ACHE National Congress in Chicago.
I found a whole lot of benefit there because there's typically, bigger sessions, kind of bigger names that present, and then some breakout sessions. And like you mentioned, great opportunity to meet people. Healthcare is impactful across the country, and it's always interesting to learn what other colleagues are doing, what other leaders are doing to tackle challenges and improve their organizations. So definitely encourage that as well too.
I would add, for those of you, in various parts of healthcare leadership, the Congress, the ACHE Congress touches on every aspect of leading throughout the healthcare system, and just a wealth of opportunity to hear, incredible speakers with depth of knowledge, bringing real life experiences, and one of the most open and sharing environments I've ever seen of really sharing the knowledge of how to get better every day at what we do.
I'm always looking back at the PDFs that you can pull from the app after attending Congress, because there's always something out there that's applicable to kind of the everyday life. And really kind of the value that I've seen with ACHE overall is really just the fellow certification. As I mentioned before, it's really the board certification in healthcare management, and it puts that seal there that of the competencies. I know Rodney, is about a year or two ago you completed yours. You want to talk a
Absolutely.
little bit about that journey?
Yes. So I made the decision to pursue my FACHI because I wanted people to know that I had like a certain like base or floor of understanding as it relates to the competencies that are needed to be a successful healthcare leader. And the FACHI credential demonstrates that. And so I would say you need to study for the exam. There is a board exam that's part of the FACHI journey to getting your FACHI credential. And I spent most of my time using the flashcards.
Yep.
And I also used the digital flashcards as well, and the digital practice test that's involved in studying for that. I also took actual practice exams, and I took like the same practice exams over and over and over again until I felt like I was confident with all of the knowledge areas that are included in the FACHI exam. And additionally, I did read the Well Managed Healthcare book. I used that as a study resource as well. And so I spent about 3 months or so, maybe a little bit more than 3 months studying for the exam, with the vast majority of my efforts, though, dedicated to the flashcards and the digital flashcards.
I know it sounds intimidating at first with the exam, with some of the continuing education, and also really the community involvement that you're required to do as well too. But we've got resources as a local chapter. We've got resources to help pursue that with the flashcards, and just a lot of folks that are willing to help you through the journey, and some information sessions that we have as well too.
Well, and I think very importantly, right, the education is not just the cramming for the test that we've all used to. It's really around, have you been engaged as a leader in learning and growing and learning? And so the events like Congress, but also the events you'll hear more about here going forward that we do here locally, and some of which are also available electronically, to continue your growth. Because as a fellow, there's also a recertification, right? Like any major society that our partners, like our medical partners, go through their certifications and fellowships. Same thing for us here as healthcare leaders, to continue to have a resource to grow and learn and make sure we're at the top of our game as we're trying to drive our organizations forward and make sure the patients that we all serve get the care that they need.
Absolutely. Very good.
Great. Well, maybe talk about some of the other things that come with the American, let's, before we dive into iHEN locally, maybe, you guys want to talk about some of the other different programs as well that they have from national?
Yeah, one of the things too that I like about ACHE is that they have a lot of different seminars that are held throughout the year. So it's not a week-long conference like ACHE Congress. Some can be, but they have seminars that are held throughout the year that are geared towards professional development, or that are geared towards increasing your knowledge area in finance or leadership or whatever competency it is that you want to strengthen to make yourself a better healthcare leader. And so some of those programs that just off the top of my head include ACHE executive and senior executive programs. Those are held annually. And the nice thing about those programs is that it's not just like it's a one-time event, but it's held multiple times throughout the year. And it gives you the opportunity, again, like we were talking about earlier, with networking and the education component to that. Now, the way that program has historically occurred is that those meetings would be like in the spring, one in the summer, and then one in like the late fall. And they're in different cities. Again,
usually terrible weather. It's usually terrible weather cities too, right?
No. So, well, Chicago is one of the cities, and then the other is San Diego, and the other is Orlando. So yeah, great opportunities to also get to know your colleagues better from across the country. just a fun time and fun time learning really neat and interesting things. A program that's similar to that is the Thomas C. Dolan Diversity program. And they actually attend those same sessions in the ACHE Executive and Senior Executive Program. But in addition to that, the Thomas C. Dolan Diversity Program, those participants meet like 2 extra sessions, and they have some additional offerings that they give to people who are selected to that program. And as the name says, that program is geared specifically towards minorities who are underrepresented within healthcare executives and leadership throughout the country. And so very good program. It's fairly new. I don't remember the exact year that it started, but it's fairly new. And ACHE does a really good job in promoting that program and growing it over the years as well.
Yeah. I think another aspect, those are all great points, Rodney, very, very key, is really just the ACHE careers page and some of the career edge tools that they have when it comes to resume reviews, when it comes to interview prep courses, even just open jobs that are out there throughout the country. There's a pretty big job board that's out there. I know that some folks utilize. I think the most impactful piece for me that I've gleaned from just the career development side of ACHE is their competencies. And typically every year they come out, it's roughly, I think, 12 pages of competencies, looking at things from legal, finance, human resource management, strategic planning, to really just kind of give you a self-check of where you're at with those competencies. And I'm a firm believer that in order to grow your leadership, that you have to become very self-aware. You have to understand what your strengths, what your weaknesses are. And I know for me, as I went throughout my career, always going back to those competencies, maybe not every year, but every couple of years, going back to those competencies, make sure that I'm developing in the areas that I'm weak in and staying strong in the areas that I'm strong in, and really can help kind of guide a career development plan.
Well, and the career development, and then filling those gaps as well, right? Rodney talked about those different programs.
Yeah.
ACHE offers a wealth of different opportunities to go or to learn, and different resources to bring those forward to help you in those competency areas gain the skills and knowledge to make you an even stronger candidate for that next opportunity that you're looking for, and just to be a better leader overall.
Sure.
And one thing that I want to add really quick here too is that you talked about building a career plan, and ACHE's Career Edge tool does a really good job of walking you through a very organized and systematic way of creating a career plan, a career development plan. And you're looking at short-term and long-term goals. You are looking at the competencies like you talked about, and they utilize the ACHE competencies tool. And you are identifying gaps that exist and coming up with action plans to overcome those gaps and get you to your desired next level.
Well, that's great. Look, so we started with ACHE very clearly. You, as a potential member, a current member, you actually join the American College, of which then your membership in the Indiana Healthcare Executive Network is included. So we thought it was important to give an overview of all the different benefits that come with that as we started off this inaugural conversation. As you're listening to this podcast, as it's first released, we're coming up on membership renewal time. So for all of those, all of you out there, please do continue to look for those messages around renewing your membership, and do so in a timely fashion. For those of you that are listening and not yet a member, certainly we would love to have you as a part of iHEN and ACHE and get to know you. You can join either at ache.org or indianahen.org. Both places, opportunities to register right there online and become a member and take advantage of all the different pieces and parts that come with your membership. And so with that, let's talk a little bit more about what we do here locally in the Indiana Healthcare Executive Network. And so Chad,
sure, maybe
dive in here a little bit about what's available locally as part of that membership.
Yeah, absolutely. So iHEN's been around really since the late 90s and became formally affiliated with ACHE kind of in the early 2000s. And really the mission of iHEN is to conduct networking education and career development at the local level. And so you heard a lot previously in the podcast about ACHE. That's really kind of a national focus, big picture, but iHEN really focuses locally. And how do we execute those programs locally? Rodney talked a little bit before about the face-to-face credits. Those are really crucial if you are pursuing your FACHE certification. And Congress is one way to get 12 face-to-face credit hours, but locally as a chapter, we've been really intentional to offer 12 face-to-face credit hours as well each year. That's the maximum that we're able to do through ACHE. And then we have other networking events, right? Like this Friday, we're going to have a networking event at the Indianapolis Indians games. If you're an ACHE and iHEN member, you get in for free, and you get a little $10 coupon to come with us. And so just a great way to meet people. And so really to dial in on that mission again, it's networking, it's career development, it's delivering education at the local level. And I know, Rodney, you've done a lot of work with programs. You chair the programs committee, and that's really kind of what makes iHEN iHEN. So you want to dig into a little bit of just what we offer here locally programmatically?
Yes, absolutely. We've done a good job of continuing to offer ACHE education opportunities even through the pandemic. So just even looking at 2021, here in January, we had Indiana Rural Health Association, the Indiana Public Policy Forum event that offered 4 credits. We had 2 events in March. We had on March 2nd, we had Sustainable Strategies to Promote Resiliency and Professional Well-Being. That was 1.5 credits right there. We had a networking event that was like a coffee with a local healthcare leader event. I want to say I did that one. And it's a really good opportunity to connect our early careerists with some of our healthcare leaders throughout the area. And so that was pretty neat. April 28th, we had a Reinventing Customer Service event that was 1.5 credits. I won't go through all of these. That one was $10, by the way. Most of these events have been either free or very, very low cost. I did want to point that out. We had another coffee event here in June 2nd. June 8th, we provided some information about advancing to your FACHE. June 24th, we had a telemedicine event. That was 1.5 credits. That one was free. July 21st, so today, we had HEPE Innovation Summit. We co-sponsored that with HEPE Engineering out in Ohio. We do this event with them every year. There's 1.5 credits for that. We have the social that you're talking about on Friday. That one's free. July 27th, we have a coffee with the local healthcare leader. That leader is Chad over here. We have a 5K that's coming up on July 31st.
You've been practicing for that, Rodney?
I have been practicing, but practices have not gone well, though.
I mean, you are a former Big Ten athlete, correct?
Yeah, I was pretty good back in my day.
Back in the day?
Yeah.
All right.
And then we have some upcoming events, too, at the end of the year. But bottom line is that we have a lot of events that we offer. Typically, you can get 12 credits through iHEN's offerings, and you can get those 12 credits at a really low cost.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk a little bit more, Rodney, about the Resiliency Seminar that we did. One of the things that the board focused on this year is how do we be more inclusive of not just, more business administrative folks, but how do we be a little bit more inclusive of some of our clinical colleagues? That was conducted with the Indiana State Medical Society as well, too, where they were able to get credits, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all of the panelists for that particular event were physicians.
Yep.
That was very, very well received by our membership.
Yeah. And I think it's a good point to kind of maybe dial into, and Randy, you maybe have a perspective on this. There are a lot of hospital leaders, there are a lot of physician group leaders, but there's consultants, there's manufacturers. What's your broad experience seen to, Randy?
I came to ACHE and iHEN actually as a sponsor initially. Many years at Roche Diagnostics. Just a great organization to partner with. It takes everyone to get patients the care that they need. And so as we've been looking at iHEN and how do we make this even more inclusive, I think that event was a great example of touching all the members who are healthcare executives and really bring, as a member of the team for patient care. And I think most importantly, what an incredible organization for networking. Just great people. and lots of events, pre-pandemic especially, but even during the pandemic, really chances to connect and hear from your peers, get to know them, people you've not met before, and networking from a development standpoint, but also career standpoints as well. So just really across that board of where you are in your career journey and your healthcare journey, a chance to contribute, to be a part of it, and to learn and to grow and also share, right? I mean, it's a big piece. I think we're going to talk here a little bit about some of the committees and different things, but so many ways to get involved.
Maybe a couple other things programmatically. Another focus of the board this year was really to deliver programs, and I would say over the past couple of years, deliver programs even outside of Indianapolis, right? Like we've kind of gone through almost every corner of the state with programming, and then clearly in the past 18 months, it's been all virtual, which just like healthcare has really advanced with telemedicine. Those capabilities were kind of there, and they've really kind of exploded over the last 18 months. That virtual face-to-face credit opportunity really kind of expanded this past year. As we look at the future, we understand that there can be transportation challenges. We fully recognize and respect some folks maybe are not as comfortable still in public as others are. And so we are still working on virtual opportunities throughout the year, even though we're going to be in person for some events, also possibly virtual too. Correct, Rodney?
Absolutely. And we're even exploring doing both, having in person while still also offering the ability to attend virtually.
Yeah. Very good.
Great. Well, I think it's nice that we're sitting here talking about all the great things that iHEN can do, but can either of you maybe talk about some of the awards we've received?
Yeah. So for 3 years running up until 2020, when there were no awards kind of handed out, when 3 years running, we were the award of chapter merit. So it's a very nice honor. There's about 80 chapters throughout the nation. And we were one of the winners of the award of chapter merit. And really what that looked at, it looked at the amount of education that you offer, the amount of networking opportunities that you offer, and then really what your total participation is. And through, an algorithm that they've developed, that is something that we've been able to do 3 years running. Like you've mentioned before, it's a tribute to our sponsors to be able to do all of this programming. And then the board, over the past few years, the board has really become engaged, really rolled up our sleeves, and be able to execute this. And that may actually be a really good segue into just the committee structure. We've spent a lot of time over the past few years. I give a lot of credit to Mela Myroff, who really just started with a big picture structure, and we've just kind of grown that over the past few years, and really including more leaders, right? The opportunity to develop, and I think one of the things that's benefited me in my career is really kind of raising my hand and taking a task on, right? Not compensated, purely voluntary, comes with headaches, right? But it's your opportunity to develop your skills, get to meet people, and really just kind of hone in some of your leadership skills there. So Rodney, that might be a good opportunity to just talk about what are the iHEN committees, how do you get involved, and what are the different focuses? Because really these committees are what is earning our chapter these awards, and I don't think we can thank our volunteers enough for that.
Absolutely. We have a communications committee that any email blast or social media post that you get, that's coming from our communications committee. We have a programs committee, which I'm currently chairing. We have a fantastic early careerist group. Early careerists, that's the name, that's the nomenclature that ACHE gives to our young professionals. So you hear early careerists, think young professionals, but outstanding group. I want to say we've received some awards, or at least some regional and national recognition for our early careers group.
Yep.
We have a finance committee, and within finance committee, we have a sponsorship committee and an audit committee. We have a career development committee, and we have a membership committee. So we have a lot of opportunities for our members to get involved and, like you said, volunteer for projects. And I'll add at a fairly low risk, especially compared to like your day job.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
risk is low, and you get the opportunity to still grow your develop your personal development skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the early careers group really kind of shined in a national ACHE publication with some of the philanthropic work that they did through their committee to benefit Riley Children's Hospital. So really appreciate the leaders of each committee. And really, as we look at, kind of future board members, there's a lot of criteria we look at, but we really look at who is engaged and who has been volunteering with iHEN. Overall, one committee we didn't hit on because it's not technically in our bylaws yet, but there's a lot of work going on with the board is our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and that is something that we've been very intentional about. We do have a diversity statement on our website, and really want to put a little bit more structure in place to continue to keep a focus on our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts there. So I know we didn't specifically mention that one, but know that hopefully before the end of the year, hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn here, hopefully before the end of the year that is stood up in our bylaws. So yeah.
Great. Well, I think, Rodney, you touched on them, some of the upcoming events and recent events, but a huge focus of iHEN and the American College is networking, right? Really putting people together, helping you build your network of people to learn from, to engage with, and build your career. And so the pandemic has certainly been a challenge to what most of us think about when you look at traditional networking. So maybe if we could speak just a little bit about some of the past events that we've done and maybe potentially about some of the things we've got coming up. I'm thinking of the award ceremony that we're having. We're still working through the final details, but can you guys speak to some of those past networking events and what they look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So every year we have like a kickoff event early in the year. We've had it in a restaurant, and it's just a good opportunity for us to get to know each other and also let our members know in person what the different programs that we have coming down the pipeline are. I also want to highlight too, some programs that are or networking events that our early careers have had over the years. We've had events at Top Golf. We've had events at different tap houses throughout the Indianapolis area, and they've done a really good job at getting people together. Also, every now and then you'd hear some education in some of those networking events too, but by and large, it's a good opportunity to get to network and just have fun with our friends who work in different parts of healthcare and different organizations.
Yeah, no, I go back to just some of the educational events we've offered throughout the state. Going up to Fort Wayne, there's been some events up in the region. Obviously, a fair amount of events here in Indy. Really integrating into the Indiana Rural Healthcare Association down at French Lick. When you look at kind of the whole state there, just great opportunities everywhere. Even being on the rooftop of Eskenazi and doing an event there. There's just a lot of great things to showcase throughout the Hoosier State, and really good opportunities.
Well, and I think it's an organization that's well received, because I think back to our last in-person award ceremony that we had. I mean, you had United States Senator Braun there speaking about healthcare, what's going on. Brian Miles from Community there receiving an award. So this is, these are the who's who of healthcare and of our leaders, that are impacting our business there, and chances to mingle and mix and to talk. So
we've been very fortunate with the level of engagement we've had for those that conduct networking sessions or do that. This it is I don't think we've really ran into a no when we've made an ask to have somebody help us out with that. So I appreciate you bringing that point up and kind of some of the prior roster there.
Yeah. Well, and I know Rodney as chairman of the program committee, now that we're starting to open back up, there's events that are planned for in-person, or at least on the board, and all of the details maybe not for me. You could just spend a minute or so on that.
Yes, absolutely. So as the COVID-19 pandemic lessens throughout the state compared to where we were last year, we are looking at having our programs in person, kind of in line with the rest of the state and what we're doing in other areas of our lives. And so, we have this awards program that you've mentioned a few times. We are still working out the final details of that, but we're looking at that being sometime in September, and at a golf resort in Zionsville, and where we've had our events in the past.
Golf Club of Indiana. Yep.
Yeah, Golf Club of Indiana. And we're looking at offering both the opportunity to be in person as well as having a virtual option.
Great. And obviously more to come. And as we program committees, obviously actively working on the schedule as we go forward. So
how would you say to keep an eye on from a communication standpoint? Where would you keep an eye on those upcoming events?
We as a committee have spent a lot of time on how do we get this information out there. And I think you can look, our website is always where we update first. So IndianaHEN.org is the starting place. We're very active on email as well. Still using that channel. And LinkedIn as well is another, we're most active on that social channel. We will put information out on Facebook and Instagram as well. But really, as we start with the web page, we will communicate via email with all of you, and LinkedIn, and then what we ask of all of you is share those out, right? Yep. I mean, the great thing about those channels, it's an opportunity for you as a member to help us grow our organization, which just makes us that much better.
Yep. So absolutely.
Well, let me kind of bring us to a conclusion here if I can. Maybe Rodney first and then Chad. Can you just speak to, the benefits to you personally of your membership in ACHE and iHEN?
That's a really good question. And, it's something that we talked about very early in this conversation. And it's like a combination of the networking and the education. And so, and that's my favorite aspect of both iHEN and ACHE. And I'll give one example that kind of ties both together. So I attended an iHEN event that was a FACHE informational session where we had Annette Seabrook providing some info about these are the steps that you need to do to pursue your FACHE. You do this and this and this. And then after the event, I kind of just hung around and was talking to different people. And after talking to Annette, she told me about the ACHE executive program that I mentioned earlier, the one where you travel to Chicago, San Diego, and Orlando. And I ended up applying for that and got accepted and participated in that in 2018. And so, to me, that's what ACHE and that's what iHEN is about. It's about getting your education, getting the opportunities for professional development, and also getting the networking and being able to leverage that network into something tangible. That was just phenomenal. And that kind of reaffirmed to me that ACHE is my preferred professional organization of choice. And I really enjoyed being in iHEN.
Yeah, that's great. That's great examples there, Rodney. So for me, I kind of bucket into a few different areas. One is mentors, right, with the networking piece. Two is just the lifelong learning that comes with it, being able to attend those seminars. Three, the skills gap, right? I want to just dial in again on that competency list. That was really something that just helped me map what I needed to work on, right? And map what I needed to be a competent healthcare executive. And I've still got work I can continue to focus on, right? It's something that I continue to look at and continue to review. And I think between those three areas, it drives self-awareness, which again, I said earlier, my firm belief is that to grow your leadership capabilities, you have to be self-aware. You have to understand what drives you. You have to understand what you're good at. You have to understand what you're not good at. And you have to understand how others perceive you. And through those elements of mentors providing you candid feedback, mentors providing you guidance on how to navigate different situations throughout your career, with some of the lifelong learning elements and the sessions that you can attend, and just doing a really good self-assessment of your skill gaps. That's really what I think that has helped me out quite a bit. And then finally, I would say that ACHE personally has helped give me the opportunity to continue to lead outside of my normal work day. Obviously, I have a lot of leadership opportunities with my normal day job, but this has given me another forum to continue to lead others. And I think that leading others, there's a moral obligation to leading others. There's a stewardship element to leading others, particularly when it comes to healthcare leadership, and just the opportunity to lead. And the more you lead, the more you grow those leadership skills. Is really how iHEN has benefited me. And really what I would encourage and encourage that participation, right? We're always going to look for others to join committees and to step up and volunteer. And if you're early in your career, if you're mid-career, if you're late career, I would just continue to encourage you, push you on the lifelong learning, and continue to grow as a leader.
Great. Well, let me thank both Rodney and Chad for taking the time to join this discussion and be a part of our inaugural podcast. I want to once again thank our sponsors. Without them, we couldn't do this. So our premier sponsor, Ice Miller, platinum sponsor, Heapy, and our gold sponsors, Cat Sapper and Miller, Cornerstone, Arc Design, and It of Care. And thank all of you for taking this content in. We love your feedback. However you reach us and any of those channels we talked about, let us know what you want to hear about, what we can do better, and stay tuned for our next episode, which we will make sure you can find very easily. And please do not forget to renew your membership. You are what make this organization what it is. And so please take that time to renew that membership and stay as an active member of both the American College of Healthcare Executives and the Indiana Healthcare Executive Network.